Rain whispered against the glass as Elena Vale stared at the unsigned contract spread across the mahogany table. Her trembling hand traced the embossed name. Adrian Cole, CEO of Cole Industries, a man known for his cold precision and ruthless charm. This was not love. It was survival. Her mother's hospital bills had drained everything, and this contract promised salvation wrapped in silk and sin. Adrian leaned forward, his voice low, velvet-edged with danger. "Sign it, and I'll make sure you never need to beg again." Her chest tightened. She wanted to believe him, but beneath his calm tone burned a storm. As she signed, lightning flashed through the penthouse glass, sealing a deal that neither of them understood would ignite into something deeper, darker, and painfully human. The ink had barely dried when Elena realized what she'd traded. The penthouse echoed with luxury, crystal glasses, marble floors, silence heavy enough to choke on. Adrian poured 2 glasses of bourbon, his movements precise, controlled. "You look terrified," he murmured, almost amused. "I'm not," she lied, clutching the glass, but the burn of whiskey betrayed her shaking hands. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "This isn't a cage, Elena. It's an arrangement." His tone softened unexpectedly. "And arrangements can change." Her pulse raced. Somewhere between fear and fascination, she wondered what kind of man could turn a contract into temptation. Morning came with sunlight that felt like judgment. Elena wandered through the penthouse, barefoot on cold marble. The city stretched below, indifferent. On the counter lay a bouquet of white orchids. Adrian's silent gesture. A note tucked within. "Breakfast at 8. Don't be late." She smiled despite herself, the first crack in her guarded facade. When he appeared, crisp in a gray suit, his gaze softened momentarily. "You slept?" he asked. "Barely," she replied. "You?" "I don't sleep much," he said quietly, the weight of something unsaid hanging between them. By afternoon, the illusion of peace cracked. Reporters swarmed outside the building, rumors already spreading. The billionaire's secret bride. Elena watched from the balcony as flashes painted the street below. Adrian appeared behind her, voice low. "I'll talk." "Ignore them." She turned, frustration simmering. "You didn't tell me it would be like this." He met her gaze steadily. "I told you it would cost you." For the first time, she saw the loneliness behind his armor. A man trapped by his own empire. Night fell with a strange tenderness. In the quiet of their shared space, Adrian placed a single glass of wine before her. "2 contracts," he said dryly. She met his gaze, daring. "To honesty." He smiled, rare, genuine. For a heartbeat, walls fell away. She saw not the billionaire, but a man marked by solitude. "You'll beg me to stay forever tonight," he whispered, not as a threat, but as a prophecy. Neither wanted to believe. The candlelight flickered, sealing a fragile truce between power and vulnerability. Elena woke before dawn to the sound of Adrian's phone vibrating. He spoke in hushed tones, words sharp as glass, something about investors, exposure, risk. When he noticed her watching, he ended the call, his face unreadable. "You shouldn't listen to things that don't concern you," he said. But everything concerned her now. Every secret, every lie, every heartbeat they shared under the same roof. Later, in the mirrored elevator descending to the garage, their reflections stood worlds apart. She in simple white, he in armor made of tailored fabric and pride. Still, when the doors opened, he offered his hand. And she, against reason, took it. The charity gala was supposed to be their public debut, a display of perfection. Cameras flashed, and whispers rippled through jeweled guests. "His wife," they said, tasting disbelief. Elena's smile never faltered, though her heart hammered. Adrian stayed near, every gesture controlled. When a rival businessman murmured something cruel about bought brides, Adrian's gaze turned lethal. He drew Elena closer, whispering, "Let them talk." You belong to no one but yourself. For the first time, she believed him. Yet under chandeliers and champagne, their fragile alliance caught fire in full view of the world. Later that night, Elena slipped out onto the terrace, breath clouding in the cool air. The city glittered below like broken glass. She wasn't sure what frightened her more, the lie of their marriage or the truth creeping between them. Adrian followed. Jacket off, tie undone. You shouldn't be alone out here, he said softly. I've been alone for years, she replied. Silence stretched, intimate and raw. Then he stepped closer, brushing a strand of hair from her face. The world narrowed to the sound of rain, returning, steady and relentless. The next morning, headlines screamed. The Billionaire's secret bride, contract or love. Elena's stomach turned as she scrolled through the article. The leaked story exposed details only a handful could know. Adrian appeared behind her, fury tempered by exhaustion. Someone inside leaked it, he muttered. They're trying to break us. Us. The word landed heavy and strange. Then let them try, she said quietly, surprising even herself. His eyes met hers, a flash of respect. Or maybe affection. For the first time, they were not enemies on opposite sides of a deal, but allies under fire. That evening, Adrian's private jet waited on the runway. We'll disappear until this calms down, he said, voice all command. But Elena paused at the foot of the stairs, wind tugging her hair. Running won't fix what's broken. He turned, eyes burning with something vulnerable. Then tell me how. She climbed the steps slowly, each one an act of defiance and trust. Inside, the cabin hummed with low light and promise. As the plane lifted into the clouds, she realized this wasn't escape. It was the beginning of something neither could control. The island villa was everything the city wasn't. Quiet, drenched in golden light, suspended in time. Elena stood barefoot on the terrace, wind in her hair, the ocean's breath against her skin. For days, Adrian kept his distance, buried in work calls and silence. But one evening, he found her painting the horizon with trembling hands. You paint, he said softly, almost surprised. I try to remember what peace looks like, she replied. He studied her, not as the woman who'd signed a contract, but as someone he couldn't quantify or command. And in that moment, she realized that beneath his armor of power lived a man starving for connection. Rain came without warning. Thunder rolled over the ocean as they ran through the garden, laughter breaking the tension for the first time. Inside, dripping and breathless, Elena tried to hide her smile. You're terrible at pretending you don't enjoy this, she teased. Adrian's laughter faded, replaced by quiet honesty. There it was. The truth behind his empire. Exhaustion, loneliness, a man who'd built walls too high even for himself. Maybe you just forgot how, she whispered. Night wrapped the villa in a hush broken only by waves. Elena found Adrian by the fire, reading her contract. Still trying to own what can't be owned? She asked softly. He looked up, guilt flickering in his gaze. I thought control would protect me. And now? Now I'm not sure I want control. He rose, standing close enough for her to feel the heat of the fire on his skin. What do you want, Adrian? She whispered. To stop wanting you for the wrong reasons, he admitted, voice trembling in the dark. Words we see, words are nice for many. Trust trembling. They fell into a fragile rhythm after that. Breakfasts in silence, shared glances that lingered too long. Each moment pressed closer to something neither dared name. But when Adrian's assistant arrived with new headlines, rumors of betrayal, a leaked video from the galley, everything fractured again. Someone's trying to ruin you, Elena said. No, he answered coldly. They're trying to ruin us. For the first time, she saw fear behind his confidence. You protect the company, she said softly. It'll protect you. That night, Elena couldn't sleep. She found him on the terrace again, phone glowing with bad news. Without thinking, she reached out and took it from his hand. "Stop fighting ghosts," she said. "You are bleeding for a world that doesn't love you back." He turned, anger and longing colliding in his eyes. "And what about you?" "I don't know yet," she whispered, "but I'm still here." The wind lifted between them, carrying salt and confession. For the first time, he kissed her, not out of possession, but surrender. Morning came like a lie. The sunlight was soft, but the air between them had hardened. Adrian was on the phone again, voice sharp, words clipped with anger. "Find out who leaked it," he barked before ending the call. Elena approached cautiously. "Adrian, whoever it is, it's you," he cut in, eyes cold. "You the only one who had access." Her breath caught. "You think I'd sell your secrets? I think you needed money once," he snapped. The silence that followed was deafening. He turned away before she could speak, leaving her in a room filled with ghosts of trust undone. Elena packed in silence. The villa's beauty turned cruel. Its marble floors echoing her footsteps, its vastness swallowing her breath. Adrian didn't come after her. Instead, she found an envelope on the bed. A check, unsigned, and a note for what's left of the contract. It was the cruelest kindness he could offer. She tore it in half, hands trembling. "You don't get to buy my silence," she whispered to the empty room. Outside, the sea crashed like applause for a tragedy. No one wanted to watch. She left before sunset, taking nothing but her sketchbook. The boat ride back to the mainland was rough, wind tearing through her hair. Every wave felt like a question. Was any of it real? Back in the city, reporters swarmed, hungry for blood. "Mrs. Cole, is it true you're divorcing?" someone shouted. She kept walking, chin high, though her heart ached with every flash of a camera. Behind the noise, her phone buzzed. A message from Adrian she couldn't bring herself to open. Adrian's penthouse felt empty without her laughter. He poured another drink, staring at the contract she'd signed months ago. The paper looked fragile now, meaningless. His assistant's voice over the speaker was sharp. "Sir, we traced the leak. It wasn't her." Silence fell. The glass slipped from his hand, shattering. For the first time, the man who controlled empires realized he'd destroyed the only thing that wasn't for sale. "Find her," he said, voice hoarse. Now. Elena walked the city streets aimlessly, rain soaking through her coat. She ended up in front of an art gallery, drawn by the warm glow within. Inside, her old paintings hung, portraits of people she once dreamed of becoming. The curator recognized her. "We didn't know how to reach you. A collector bought them all." Her pulse skipped when she saw the name on the receipt. A. Cole. Tears blurred the ink. He hadn't bought her silence. He'd bought her memories to keep her close. Days passed before Adrian found the courage to face her again. The gallery had closed, the city heavy with rain. He stood on the sidewalk, watching her inside through the glass as she rearranged canvases. Hers, all signed with quiet defiance. When she noticed him, she froze. He didn't enter right away. The rain between them was punishment and cleansing both. Finally, she opened the door. "You shouldn't be here," she said softly. "I know," he replied, "but I'm done letting fear speak for me." His voice cracked. No arrogance, no armor, just a man stripped to truth. Inside, silence held its breath. Adrian approached slowly, eyes scanning her art, portraits of him hidden in color and shadow. "You painted me," he murmured. "I painted what I couldn't say," she replied. He stepped closer, hands trembling slightly. "I was wrong, Elena. About everything." She met his gaze, searching for the lie and finding none. "You can't fix what's broken with apologies," she whispered. Then tell me how to start, he said, voice raw. Her answer was a single tear that he reached up and caught before it fell. They sat on the gallery floor, surrounded by her paintings. I bought them because I didn't want anyone else to own what you created, Adrian admitted. That's not love, she said. That's possession, he nodded, ashamed. Then teach me love, Elena, because I've never known how. For the first time, she saw not the billionaire who commanded the world, but the man who didn't know how to hold something fragile without breaking it. Love isn't a contract, she whispered. It's surrender. Adrian took her hand for the first time without demand. Come with me, he said. No contracts, no headlines, just us. She hesitated, heart torn between fear and forgiveness. And when the world turns on you again, then let it, he said, smiling faintly. I've built enough walls. I want something real to fall against. The sound of rain outside softened, replaced by the city's slow heartbeat. And when she finally nodded, his relief was almost childlike. A man reborn not by power, but by grace. Later, they walked side by side through the city, no cameras, no pretense, just two souls relearning how to breathe. What happens now? She asked. Now, he said, taking her hand. We start over. The rain had stopped, leaving the air smelling of new beginnings. Streetlights flickered on one by one, painting halos around them. Somewhere, deep inside, Elena realized she no longer felt like she was surviving. For the first time, she was living, and he was learning how to deserve it. Peace never lasts long in Adrian's world. The morning after their reconciliation, his phone lit up with chaos, his company under investigation, accusations of fraud, media spiraling. Elena found him in the living room, staring at headlines that could end everything. Tell me it isn't true, she whispered. It's complicated, he said. Complicated, she repeated, her voice breaking. You promised no more lies. He turned away, shame etching lines across his face. I did it for survival. Then survive without destroying what's left of us, she said, stepping back. For the first time, he had no answer. The headlines grew crueler by the hour. Coal industries collapse. Marriage a cover-up? Screamed the tabloids. Elena could barely step outside without being hounded. Yet when Adrian's lawyer arrived with documents, she refused to sign them. What are these? She demanded. A statement clearing you, the lawyer said. He wants to protect you by disappearing, she asked, voice trembling. The lawyer hesitated. He's leaving the country, Mrs. Cole. To keep you safe? Her breath caught like glass in her chest. Love had returned just to demand another sacrifice. She found him at the airport, standing by the glass as planes lifted into gray sky. You were going to leave without saying goodbye, she said, voice shaking. He turned, guilt and relief clashing in his eyes. It's the only way you stay untouched by this mess. I'm not afraid of ruin, she said, tears rising. I'm afraid of losing you, he smiled sadly. You can't save me, Elena, but maybe you can remember me as the man who finally learned how to love. Her heart broke in silence as the announcement for his flight echoed overhead. Adrian disappeared into headlines and silence. Weeks passed. The world moved on, but Elena couldn't. Every place she went carried a ghost of his presence, the scent of cologne on her scarf, his voice and the echo of her dreams. Then one night a letter arrived, unsigned, but she knew the handwriting instantly. If love was ever real, you taught me so. Forgive me for learning too late. Tears blurred the ink, and for the first time she didn't feel abandoned. She felt chosen. To keep what was pure when everything else fell apart. Months later, Elena stood before her own art exhibit, paintings filled with light, forgiveness, and fragments of the man who changed her. Reporters asked about the collection's title, The Cost of Love. She smiled faintly. "It's not about loss," she said. "It's about what survives it." In the back of the gallery, she thought she saw him, a familiar silhouette, watching quietly. When she blinked, he was gone. But somehow, she didn't feel alone. Some stories, she realized, don't end. They transform. A year passed before she saw him again. It was winter in Paris. Her art exhibit now celebrated across Europe. Elena stood on a balcony overlooking the Seine, the city glittering beneath snowfall. Behind her, a voice she'd memorized whispered, "You still chase sunsets even in the cold." She turned slowly. Adrian, older, leaner, eyes softer, carrying the humility of someone reborn. "You came back," she breathed. "I never left," he said quietly. "I just had to become the man you believed I could be." The city faded. There was only them, and a love that had finally earned its peace. They walked along the riverbank, words flowing easier than before. "The company?" she asked. "Gone," he said, smiling faintly. "I sold it, started a foundation instead, for artists who can't afford to dream." She looked at him, wonder softening her breath. "You traded power for purpose." "No," he said, taking her hand. "I traded loneliness for you." She laughed quietly, eyes bright with tears. For once, their silence wasn't heavy. It was full. A language only the redeemed understand. Later, in her Paris studio, Elena painted while Adrian watched from the corner, a glass of red wine in hand. "You're quiet," she said without turning. "Just trying to understand how light falls on you," he replied. She smiled softly. "You always saw me like I was something rare." "You are," he said. "I just had to stop owning beauty to finally see it." The brush paused in her hand. In that moment, she realized forgiveness wasn't a single act. It was the slow art of love reborn. That evening, they hosted a small gathering. Friends, artists, laughter filling what once was emptiness. As music played, Adrian leaned close and whispered against her ear, "Do you remember what I told you the night you signed that contract?" She smiled, the memory shimmering like glass. "You said I'd beg you to stay forever tonight." His lips curved. "Then beg me." She turned, gaze steady, voice soft but certain. "No," she said. "You'll stay because you finally want to." The crowd blurred away, leaving only their promise in motion. Later, when everyone had gone, they stood by the window, Paris alive beyond the glass. "No contracts," she murmured. "No lies," he said. "Just us." Snow fell gently, painting the city in white forgiveness. He drew her close, their foreheads touching. "Forever tonight," she whispered. The camera would fade then, but their story, two broken souls who bought love and found redemption, would linger long after. Because some promises aren't written on paper. They're written in the heart that dared to forgive.